For this bill, I chose to contact the representative directly, and she wrote me this brief email a few days ago. And as I know, we are all very lazy, so I'll go ahead and read it aloud to you. She said, "Dear Bracken, thank you for contacting me about my bill, the Access to Child Care Act, H.R. 840. As you may be aware, my bill passed the House of Representatives in February 2019 and is now under consideration in the Senate. Since 2011, VA has implemented a pilot program that provided child care to certain eligible veterans, which has been very successful. As a result, I introduced this legislation in order to make this pilot program permanent. This important legislation is critical to ensuring that veterans receive the health care they need. No veteran should have to choose between obtaining necessary and critical health care and taking care of their child. As chairwoman of the House's Veterans Affairs Subcommittee on Health, I will continue to work to ensure that veterans receive the benefits and services that they have earned and deserve." The next person I interviewed was my grandfather. His dad was a World War II veteran, and they lived in West Virginia. He ended up getting lung cancer from working in a coal mine most of his life when he got home. And my great grandmother, his wife, worked a full time job at a local elementary school until she was about 70. So my grandfather had a lot of experience with dealing with having to get to and from school and sporting events and stuff like that without having his parents around. And I didn't ask him any very specific questions. I just asked him to tell me what that was like to have to get around. And he said that it wasn't terrible, but he wished that there was some way that his dad didn't have to work a full time job since he had been overseas fighting for a good portion of his life and had earned a Purple Heart. He seemed to think that all of that granted a bigger reward than having to come home and work a job like a regular citizen, and he thought that his family was not treated fairly by the government and the country that his father fought for. The last person that I spoke with was actually someone who worked at a child care center that is now sponsored by the VA, so they are one of the people in the pilot program who offer child care to veterans who need to go to appointments and whatnot. And I asked her three questions. I said, "What services are currently offered to veterans who cannot afford proper child care after they're discharged?" And she said, basically, what I've already stated, that there's a pilot program in place. They offer child care for free or discounted cost, and they can apply. If they get accepted, they'll be able to go to their appointments, receive their treatment, whatnot. Next, I asked her, how can the government help to prevent these issues where the veterans' children do not have someone to care for them during the workday? They didn't have much to say about that because this bill would only cover when veterans have an appointment or a treatment for something where they would need to travel. And I also asked to what extent should their child care be subsidized in her personal opinion, and she said she believed that there should be more help extended to veterans, especially if it is a widow of a veteran and she's a single parent trying to raise a family and also has to work to provide for them. So here I have a diagram of the mandatory spending of the federal government, and as you can see, veteran benefits only takes up 4% of what we spend. And as most of us know, the government already spends an absurd amount of money on things that they don't need to spend it on. And I think that it would only be right that they would have a little bit more money assigned to helping out these families and making sure the veterans get what they deserve after fighting for our country. And I think these types of bills are exactly what could help us get there. So, with that, I hope that this bill passes in the Senate, and I hope that all these families can afford what they deserve and get the help that they need.